Welcome back to the workshop. I'm Josh, and in this episode we're talking about vertical rod sharpeners. We're talking about what makes them great, how to use them, and we'll do a quick product comparison between the Lansky Turnbox, the Wurksharp angle set, and the Spyderco triangle sharp maker. Also, stick around. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can win one of these angle set sharpeners signed by Ken Onion himself. Ken Onion is a knife maker, a legendary knife maker, and the co-designer of this product with Wurksharp. He signed the product, and that's the unit we're going to give away. One of the things I love about vertical rod style sharpeners is that it's a natural orientation. The way you hold a knife to cut something is the same way you're going to sharpen. You're not transitioning to a horizontal surface. You're sharpening vertically, just like you hold a knife. I also love that you have angle assistance. It's not a fully guided system like some, but the rods are positioned at various angles to give you some control and guidelines as you sharpen. For example, the angle set can be set at 15 degrees, 17.5, 20 degrees, 22.5, or 25 degrees. I have it here set at 20 degrees. Angle assistance means that you're guided because of the orientation of the rod, but there's no fixed guides, which is a benefit because sometimes a fixed guided system can collect debris, and as you press your knife into that guide, it can mar the blade with some of the debris that builds up inside of a guide. If you have a system like that, use a brush, keep it clean, and you won't have any issues, but without a guide, you avoid it altogether. And with each of these three sharpeners, they are all very portable. They pack down and they stow, something that you can take anywhere. For example, this little Lansky Turnbox, the rods just slide into the end of the wood block, and you're left with a very compact wood block. It goes anywhere. You can even fit this in a pocket. The angle set folds down into this plastic case, and the Spyderco similarly folds down, and everything is packed away to be about that same size. The measure of any sharpener comes down to the results it delivers. With each of these, because they are angle guided and because they offer multiple grits, you can get some really sharp edges, and they sharpen a variety of knives. So why not vertical rod sharpeners? Well, although you can get some great results with vertical rod sharpeners, I don't necessarily recommend them for repairing damaged blades. The angle set does an okay job because it has a coarse 320 diamond abrasive, but even then, the orientation, I find myself wishing I had a flat surface to work with, that I have a little bit more visibility of that edge. The Lansky and the Spyderco offer lighter abrasives, and it would take a long time, and you're still facing limited visibility as you sharpen, so you don't have the best understanding of if you've fully repaired that blade until you stop and look at it. I'll give you a quick overview on how to sharpen using these systems. I'll focus on the Wurksharp here. It's what I know the most about, but the process is the same for the other ones as well. The first thing to keep in mind is safety. Because you're using the knife on the sharpener, similar to how you cut, you want to make sure you're keeping your hands out of the way and protected. Each of these sharpeners has a safety mechanism built in. The Spyderco uses these brass rods. Make sure you insert them. The angle set uses the plastic from the cover. Make sure you keep that on the side that you choose to hold on to it. So if you're left-handed, you'd keep the right guard on. If you're right-handed, you'd keep the left guard on. And the Lansky seems to offer protection by sliding in one of the rods that you're not using while you're sharpening on the other side. For setup, I like to make sure that I get the sharpener positioned in a way that's comfortable to use. For the angle set, I'll rotate that so that it's at almost a 45-degree angle to my body. This is so my elbow and wrist are aligned, so I have limited motion and that I don't have to adjust to the sharpener adjusts to me. I want to be comfortable, so I'll hold the knife just like I would if I were using it to cut. I'll bring it to the sharpener, and I'll line the sharpening plate to fit flat with the bevel of the knife. And then again, on the other side. Keeping my hands safe under the guard, I'll begin to sharpen. I'll make 5 to 10 passes per side and make sure to raise a burr, then switch to the other side to even it out. Once I've raised the burr on both sides, I'll progress down to the finer grits. As I sharpen, I'm making sure to keep the blade perfectly vertical. This ensures that I'm sharpening to the proper angle. It's also important to use light force, just like you would if you're using the knife to cut. You don't want to use white knuckles or be heavy-handed. It's more important to have technique than it is to get the job done quickly. I'll check for a burr by pushing my finger down and off the bevel on the opposite side of the side I just sharpened. The burr forms like a fine wire that wraps around the edge, and you'll be able to feel it on the opposing side. After I have that burr, I switch to the other side. Another thing I'm keeping in mind is to make sure I make contact all the way through the belly and the tip of the blade. I'll show you. As I drop the knife down the abrasive, I'm rotating my wrist forward and pressing the tip down. That makes sure that that plate stays flat against the bevel all the way through that rounded portion of the blade. Once I have a burr on the other side, I'll progress down to the finer ceramic. One step I can do in between if you do want a higher level of edge refinement is just to alternate strokes, 1 stroke per side on the diamond before you step down. On the fine ceramic, I'll alternate strokes, 1 stroke per side, until I've reached about 10 strokes per side and I've reached the level of edge refinement that I want. That's a brief overview for how to use the angle set sharpener. One other feature the angle set offers is this tapered ceramic rod for sharpening the inside of serrations. The ceramic rod can be used independently, holding it in your hand and bringing it to a knife, or it locks into the top of the sharpener. It can lock into either side depending on which side of your knife the serrations are ground into. Resting it on the top, I'll bring my serrations to that tapered rod. Aligning the serration with the part of the rod that fits inside of the serration where it nests perfectly, I'll work it back and forth a few times to raise a burr. I'll progress down through each serration independently at various points on the tapered rod to make sure I work inside of those serrations. As I work up and down, I will raise up a burr on the back side or the flat side of the knife. I can feel that just like I feel a burr when I'm sharpening. There will be a small wire pushed over on the inside of those serrations. When I'm finally done sharpening each serration, I want to make sure to flatten the back and remove that burr. I'll bring the knife to the ceramic, and not totally flat, but nearly. I will make a reverse stroke to push that burr back off the serrations and be left with a razor sharp edge. I'm just going to give you some overviews of what each of the sharpeners offer in comparison to each other if you are looking to make a purchase decision. For starters, the Lansky, this is the Lansky Turnbox. It offers 2 different angles, a 20 degree and a 25 degree. It has a fine diamond and a fine ceramic. It stows nicely in the box, and it costs about 20 bucks. Not a bad sharpener, a little bit limited, but again, you could probably get really sharp results, and it's very simple, compact, and affordable. All right, let's talk about the Sharpmaker. Spyderco has 2 different abrasives, a medium ceramic and a fine ceramic. Spyderco does offer additional diamond rods for the triangle Sharpmaker, and I believe there's something like $55 or $60. The process to use the triangle Sharpmaker is very similar to the angle set. I'll line the sharpener in a position that's comfortable for me to use, and I'll draw my knife down the abrasive, turning my wrist up and keeping the knife tip in contact with the ceramic. A few other things I like about the Sharpmaker. The rods have a groove in them for sharpening fish hooks or fine points. Things like darts or needles, anything that might need a point restored. You can rest that in the groove and slide it back and forth a few times, restoring a sharp tip. You can also position the rod in this side port for more freehand sharpening. You get a good hold on the sharpener here, and you can sharpen just like you would more of a bench stone. This is a totally freehand system. You can also sharpen serrations on the Sharpmaker by positioning the triangle rod with the tip pointed in. Just like the angle set, bring the tip of that triangle into the inside of the serrations. It's not going to nest perfectly, but because it is a fine ridge, you can sharpen the inside of nearly all sizes of serrations. All right, one final overall comparison for each of these sharpeners. The Lansky Turnbox comes in at $19.99. At least that's the last price that I saw. It has fine diamond and fine ceramic. 2 angles, 20 and 25 degrees, and everything stows in the small wood box. The angle set comes in at 50 bucks. 5 different angle settings, 15 degrees, 17.5, 20 degrees, 22.5, and 25. 3 different grits, 320, 600 diamond, and a fine ceramic. It also has a tapered rod for serrations. It too collapses and folds into this carrying case. The Spyderco comes in at $73. Has 2 different grits of ceramic, these nice brass guards, and again, everything stows into the box. It does have 2 angles, both a 15 and a 20 degree, or as they refer to it, a 30 degree and a 40 degree. Those are just inclusive angles, talking about both sides at the same time. That's it for this episode on vertical rod sharpeners. I hope you learned something. If you have questions, leave a comment down below. We jump into those comments. We'll answer your questions. We want to make sure you guys have the tools you need to sharpen your knives. I want to do a quick giveaway before we end this video. We have one of these angle set sharpeners, which is co-designed with knife maker Ken Onion, and he signed the angle set. I want to give that away to one of you guys who is the closest to guess how many angle sets we have sold this year. As of October 31st, how about? Closest person without going over is going to win that sharpener. Steven, Kyle, what are your guesses?
27,502.
Okay.
10,000.
Both of them are high. Kyle's closer. That's the only clue you guys are going to get. The closest without going over in the comments wins, and we'll pull the prize before Christmas. Thanks for watching. If this is your first time on our channel, consider clicking the subscribe button here. We make new videos every week about knife sharpening, and we're here to answer your questions. There's probably another video you'll like right here. Enjoy, and we'll see you back here in the workshop next week.